The most important thing about the laning stage is understanding the matchup. I am a 10k MMR support player and I have coached many students from different brackets from Herald to High Immortal. What I have noticed is that many players go into their lane without understanding the matchup or having a plan, and they end up running the laning stage the second it starts. This video will help you understand the factors like positioning that you need to keep in mind while going into the lane. This will help you improve your game sense and help you become a good player. First of all, look at the enemy heroes and their spells and think of ways you can punish the enemy so you can play the lane around that. Keep in mind how the enemy can punish you as well and try to avoid that and don't put yourself in that scenario. It will be easier to play the laning stage with some idea in mind on how you want to play the lane. This is what happens when you don't have any plan for the laning stage. This Rubik is in such a bad position right now. I'll break down this matchup for you so you can get an idea of how easy it is to make a laning stage plan. It's Rubik Primal versus Veno in Ursa. Veno likes to slow enemy heroes. Ursa likes to also slow enemy heroes and then he deals more damage with his auto attacks and third spell. Meanwhile, Rubik he can lift enemy into a bad position and he can use magical damage with W. Meanwhile, Primal he can jump on enemy heroes with his first spell and then he likes to deal damage with W. Primal can easily farm creeps with right click damage over here, but if Primal wants to go aggressive for the kills, he needs to deal damage with his W. But against Venomancer, who has slow, Primal will struggle because Primal cannot keep up with the movement speed when he is hit by a gale, so he cannot deal damage with W. For Primal, he needs to make sure he goes on enemy when the gale is on cooldown or when the Primal is not hit by gale. On the other hand, this Veno has two ways he can use Gale. One, he can use Gale when the Primal goes on his team so that he can slow Primal and Primal cannot deal any damage. Or second, when Rubik gets out of position, he can slow Rubik down and try to deal damage to him or try to kill him. Earlier I talked about how this Rubik is in such a bad position. Well, that is because enemy has two heroes that can slow. If Rubik goes away from his tower or from his other lane partner, an enemy slows Rubik down, there is no way Rubik can get close to safety. Either Rubik will have to TP to base or he will just die. Again, Rubik versus Vano, same matchup. Learning from previous mistake, now we know that we cannot play separately from our core. We have to stick around the core and play into the lane so that we don't get hit by Gale and get jumped on. Look at Rubik's positioning. He's playing around his offlaner and hitting enemy heroes as much as possible. Rubik's job in this lane is to play around his core, hit enemy, try to deny creeps so that he can get level 2 before the enemy and punish them. In this matchup, if Rubik is playing on this left side always and he gets hit by Gale, Anti-Mage and Veno can easily feed on Rubik. But if Rubik is playing on the right side, there is no way enemy can kill because being on the right side, enemy has to deal with these creeps and also have to deal with Beastmaster. Always try to play in lane for level 2 advantage. If you get level 2 before enemy, you will have 1 extra spell to use compared to enemy, and collectively 2 extra spells with your core. It takes 9 creeps experience to get to level 2 if you're sharing all experience with your core. Mostly players forget about how many creeps enemy has killed and they end up dying when enemy suddenly hits level 2. We always talk about blocking this camp, that camp, but not every game is the same and not every time you're going to have an easier time controlling camps. Now what can we do if the enemy manages to unblock the camp and our hero cannot contest it? Well, instead of fearing, there are other things that you can do. In matchups where you feel like you cannot contest the small camp, you can simply ignore the small camp instead of going there and feeding, focus on unblocking the hard camp. Because in this matchup, if Rubik goes to block this small camp, Veno will slow him with Gale and then Shadow Fiend will come there, use resist and Rubik will just keep on feeding. So instead of going there and feed, you can simply unblock the hard camp. Now, if enemy pulls the small camp, you can pull the hard camp. You will get more value out of it because small camp cannot clear the creep wave. Meanwhile, the hard camp can clear the creep wave. And you can farm this hard camp with your offlaner as well. Later in this matchup, Rubik managed to pull the hard camp, which allows Dire to have the Radiance wave close to their tower, which allows them to farm safely. Now, if in this matchup this Rubik was playing just to block the small camp, standing here on the left side trying to take trade with Veno, this Rubik would have died like 5 times and laning stage would have been over. So understanding what the enemy heroes can do matters a lot. You need to understand what their spells can do to you and how you can avoid that. We have seen how in the first clip, Rubik was trying to play around the small camp and died to Veno and Ursa. Similarly, Rubik can also die to Seraphine and Veno as well. Your laning stage positioning is going to improve a lot when you will start thinking about how the enemy wants to use your spells on you to punish you and which areas are bad for you to walk to. In this matchup, going for the small camp is not good for Rubik to walk because the enemy can use their slows to punish Rubik. Because Rubik didn't go for small camp, because Rubik unblocked the hard camp and pulled it to bring the wave closer to his tower, this lane is going in Dire's favor. Otherwise, if this matchup was played on autopilot, Veno and Seraphine would have destroyed the bottom lane. In Dark Willow CM, this is a matchup where Dark Willow wins in 1 versus 1. So if this Dark Willow is playing on this left side and taking 1v1 with CM, CM will struggle a lot in this because Dark Willow can use Bramble, use Blood Grenade to slow CM, and Night Stalker can come in, 2 attacks and CM is dead. But because this Dark Willow is making huge mistake, he doesn't know where to position his hero on the map in the laning stage. He's losing this lane and giving CM a free time in the laning stage. For CM, you just don't want to give Dark Willow a 1v1 because in a 1v1 Dark Willow is gonna win and you have to fight Dark Willow in a way that Slar can also join in. The best possible way to do that is forcing Dark Willow to come around the small camp. Now I know as a CM, if Dark Willow comes around this area of the small camp, he is easily punishable because Night Stalker cannot come here, and with CM slow, Slar can easily connect. So understanding which areas you can go in the laning stage and which areas you cannot. Similarly, which areas if enemy comes and you can punish them is really important. And if you don't plan it beforehand, then playing the laning stage is super hard for you. If you want to know more in depth about the support role, I have made guides where I have discussed everything in detail. You can check them out. If you're looking to improve your game understanding in any role, I offer private coaching sessions which can help you improve your skills and become a better player. Limited slots have been opened for June. If you're interested, you can join my Discord linked in description. Please make sure to subscribe and like the video if you have learned something new. Do let me know if you have any feedback. Otherwise, good luck with your game.